Hi everyone, I'm Helen. Welcome to my channel. Today's class is all about the knees. If you're experiencing knee pain and stiffness and you're doing isolated knee exercises or taking a load of supplements, you're going to have a real hard time getting the results you want, that pain-free movement in the body, because those methods simply aren't enough. They don't work. There are a lot of women like me, over 50, that are living with pain-free movement, doing what I'm about to show you today to reduce that pain in the joints without wasting time doing ineffective exercises or wasting a ton of money on supplements. I used to do the same. When I was a marathon runner, I was always in pain in my knees and my ankles and my feet and my hips, and I took tons of supplements because I believed that's what the answer was. It didn't work. It's because the key to pain-free movement is to take a whole body approach. Today I will lead you through a simple exercise class that does not involve isolated knee exercises, because our knees don't work independent of anything else in our body. Our body is like an orchestra. Everything works together. Our brain, our nervous system, our endocrine system, the bones, the muscles, the connective tissues. These work all together to create a harmonious experience in the body. Wouldn't you rather wake up and hear a symphony than hearing a painful groan every time you move? Today, we will need one piece of equipment, which is a chair. You can also use a resistance band. So I like these resistance bands. This is from a brand called Arena Strength, and I will link underneath. They come in 3 strengths, and you don't need to use these today, but they can make the exercise more effective. I am actually going to put on a medium-sized one, just above the knees here on the lower thighs, and the format of today will be 13 exercises for 1 minute each with a 15-second break in between, where I will demonstrate the next move. They're all really basic, simple movements. Everything is standing and they're suitable for all levels. So without further ado, grab your chair, maybe grab a resistance band if you've got one. I always work out in bare feet. I find it really helps that connection with the earth, waking up our legs. And it's pretty nice to have free feet. So let us begin. I have my trusty timer, and I'll just demonstrate the first move. So if you have a resistance band on, or if not, don't worry, we'll come into a very mild squat, and we'll be sidestepping, waking up these muscles on the sides of the hips, because these are one of the key muscles we need to help with our knees. Okay, let us begin. A 10-second countdown. He's now chucking it down with rain here, so I hope you can still hear me. Okay, and let's begin sidestepping. So you can bend slightly into the knees. Bring the hands to the hips. Remember, we're just warming up here. So the key muscles that we need to support our knees are the quadriceps, which is at the front, the hamstrings at the back, the hip flexors here that move the leg, also the glutes, and these ones on the outside, the abductors. So these move away from the body. If you think about abduction, if somebody gets abducted, they get taken away. So it's moving our legs away from the midline of the body. If you want to make it even harder with your resistance band, put it lower down the legs on the calves. So the higher up it is, the less resistance. Just a few seconds more. Brilliant. Now this next one, it may look like you're not doing anything, but you're just going to activate the quads. If you imagine you're lifting up the knees, so you're activating this quad muscle. We're just standing straight. It's very subtle. If you imagine you're lifting the knees up, so waking this muscle up. You might feel your legs slightly straighten as you do this. Keeping the shoulders relaxed, the jaw relaxed. Sending your mind into this muscle, you're activating it. Lifting those knees up. This is a real key muscle for our knee hound. Keep going. Starting to feel a bit of a burn here. Sometimes these subtle ones are actually quite tough. Wonderful. You might need your chair here. Standing into one leg, the other one will bend slightly, and we're just going to again activate this thigh muscle and straighten the leg. So you can do this without the chair. If you do it without the chair, it helps with our balance, activating the core, and all those little stabilizing muscles that help us keep upright, help with our balance. Because one of the biggest reasons to work on your mobility in your joint health is so we actually stay mobile, we don't fall over. When we fall over and maybe get a fracture, we can't get out and about, it can lead to isolation, and that has a whole cornucopia of other things that come along with it. It might lead to making you feel a bit depressed and lonely. So everything all works together. So again, putting the mind into this muscle. A few more seconds. And release, and then we'll do the other leg. You can keep the chair where it is or move it to the other side if that feels better, or do it without the chair. Find something that's not moving to fix your gaze on. And again, just straighten. It's very subtle. This is like the next step up from that last one we did. So we're actually moving the leg here. Engaging, recruiting this quad, building strength, keeping the foot flexed. Always find to imagine that the big toe is moving away from you and the little toe side is coming towards you, and that really activates the muscles in the leg a bit more. I recently did a yoga teacher training, and there was a big focus on this movement in the foot. I realized that my feet had been a bit lazy. Keep going, you're doing really well. A few more seconds. Wonderful. Now the next one, we're going to move even further. We're going to recruit the quad and the hip flexor, lifting the leg up. Now this might be a bit tough with the resistance band. You can move it a bit higher to get a bigger range of motion. Again, recruiting this and using the contraction of the hip flexor that goes down here, right from the inside of the femur bone to the spine, through the pelvic girdle and the quad. Not worrying about how high up you get it. It will all depend on your strength and also the openness of the back of your leg as well. Not forgetting about these core muscles, making sure you're not tensing anything that doesn't need to be tense, like the shoulders or the jaw. Enjoying the movement, enjoying how it feels in the body, thanking yourself for doing something good for you and your body today. And release, shake it out maybe. And we'll do the other side. We often have imbalances in both sides because we often favor one over the other. When we do these asymmetric exercises, it really reveals the imbalances we have. But they're totally normal because we're humans, we're not robots. So if you are right-handed, you're often right-legged, it's often your stronger side. And when I practice handstand, I make sure I kick up on both legs because my right side is a lot easier because it's stronger. So when we do these moves and we isolate the sides, it can be a bit of an eye-opener. Remember to keep that foot active, putting the mind into this muscle here. This is also using core as well. There's no lunges today, you'll be pleased to know. No jumping either. Excellent. You might need your chair here. I'll turn to the side. We're working on the hamstring. So grounding into one foot, then simply recruiting this muscle here and doing a standing hamstring curl. So if you have the resistance band on, you can also make a conscious effort as well to maybe press outwards a little bit. So also working on that side hip strength, which is key for healthy knee movement. Bringing your mind into this hamstring. Maybe a slight bending the standing knee rather than locking out the joint. So you're using a muscle strength to support you, not putting all your weight and using the joint to support you, if that makes sense. Excellent. Shake it out. And we'll do the other side. I'll face out towards the jungle. And remembering to do the other leg. And bending in, putting the mind here into this hamstring. And using that to bring the heel up towards the glute. Slight bend in the standing knee can help. Once you get used to doing these exercises, you could just do them when you're watching TV, rather than sitting down. Sometimes simple is better. Although I do like doing sort of choreographed exercise routines, the simple stuff can be the most effective. I suppose the creative ones help just keep your brain stimulated. Excellent. Going back to the first side. Now we'll do a glute activation. So bending slightly into this standing leg and we're lifting up. And imagine the movement is coming from the inner thigh and the glute. So if you have a resistance band on, this is where you might feel it more. You can gently hold on to the chair just to give you a little bit of stability. So you can focus your awareness here rather than struggle to balance. Pushing that foot up to the sky, keeping it flexed. Making sure the movement isn't coming from the lower back. You've got stability here in the lumbar region, engaging the core to help support it, and all the movement is coming from this glute. Keep going, keep breathing. Wonderful. We'll do the other side. Shake it out. Then get ready. So if you have pain in the knees, know that, like I said at the beginning, everything is connected. So the issue may be coming from your feet, from your ankles, from the hips, not necessarily a knee problem. And one of the key things as well is our lower back. So our lower back is the weakest part of the spine. Because if you think about the upper back, it has all the ribs to support it. There's nothing here apart from the abs, which is why it's really key to have a strong core for lower back health. If you imagine you're zipping up through the front of the spine, that can help. Wonderful. Now we're going to move on to some side leg lifts. So again, if you've got this band on, you'll notice it here. Keeping the weight in one leg and then lifting directly out on the side plane. So if you've got a band on, your range of motion may be restricted, but you're providing resistance for these abductor muscles to work harder and develop strength. These are some of the key muscles in knee health because they control how our leg moves in space. If you think about when you stand on one leg, these outer muscles here need to really keep you stable. They need to stabilize to keep you upright, otherwise you'll fall over. So this is an often neglected part of knee health, these abductor muscles. I'm feeling the burn for sure. Build up a bit of some sweat. Wonderful. And then the other side. And again, you don't need to use the chair, but sometimes it helps to, if you want a particular outcome of an exercise, what the intention is, to focus all your awareness on that rather than struggling to balance. You've only got one more exercise after this. You've done brilliantly. Hopefully your legs feel pretty awake. Mine do. Micro bend in that standing leg can help. So you're using muscle strength rather than sitting in the joints to support yourself. We've only got 10 more seconds left of this one. Keep going, you can do it, I believe in you. And now the final one. This is where we'll need the chair. We're going to put it all together a bit. Feet directly underneath the knees. Going to sit back in like a little squat and stand up. So the glutes are just touching the seat. Keeping the feet parallel. The knees tracking directly over the ankles. When you have this booty band on, you may press out slightly to engage the side muscles and the glutes. Using the quads, the hamstrings, the glutes. Keeping the spine supported with the abs. Keep going. We've only got 10 more seconds or so to go. And we are done. Well done. That was excellent. Let's move this chair off. Take off the band if you're wearing it. And just free those legs up. Maybe do a few hip circles. Worked a lot on the outer hips there. Feels so good. And then you can take your chair. Actually, that was a bit bad of me. I should have started with this one. Bring all the weight into one leg. Bringing this one up and doing a quad stretch. So keeping the knee directly under the hip. And moving the leg backwards because we want to stretch out the hip flexor and the quad. Keeping the knees together. Oh, it feels so good. And then release and go to the other side. Remember, knees together, leg pointing straight down, and then pushing back in space so you feel the stretch in the quad and the hip flexor. Calming the breath. Enjoying the beads of sweat. And now we'll work on just the hamstring. So I'll face this way, bringing all the weight into one leg, placing this one forward, folding at the hip crease until you can feel a stretch in the hamstring. So depending how flexible you are, like I can't actually really feel anything here. I need to go all the way down, but this might be your position. Getting the mind into this, and then coming up and going to the other side. Both sides might feel a little different. Keeping the hips neutral, folding at this hip crease, keeping this back straight. And then standing up, maybe a full body stretch. On an inhale, palms up to the sky, fingertips touch, full spinal elongation, and then release down. Well done, you did an excellent job. Keep that whole body approach in mind. We want to think of the body as an orchestra. We also need to focus on what we eat, an anti-inflammatory diet, getting adequate sleep, because this is where our body and our joints restore, and getting adequate relaxation, staying out of the stress zone in our bodies and being in that rest and digest zone also brings a lot of peace and restoration to our joints and everything else. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you again. Take care.